guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're here in Austin, Texas in this secret studio location underground because guess what? We have some exciting news coming from Toyota, and this is it right here. This is your all-new 2023 Toyota Crown. But before we get into this sedan, is it an SUV? Is it a new vehicle? Definitely. Before we get into this Crown, let's talk about what's going on here. Obviously, Toyota doing the business for so many decades in the United States. Many people had those familiar names, the Camry, the Corolla, obviously the return of the Supra. Well, guess what? The Crown goes way back. And when I say way back, we're talking about 1955 was the first passenger sedan to be sold. And that is where we're seeing a connection with this name and now where we're at in the present and going into the future. Now, when it comes to the Crown, a lot of different generations over the years, if you were to, use the World Wide Web and the interwebs and do some research, you would find out that you could actually go to Japan and get a Toyota Crown as this high-end luxury vehicle. Well, guess what? With the nameplate coming back to the United States, they wanted to do something unique. And what's fascinating is that this is going to kind of cover a lot of different gaps between people who want a sedan and people who think that they want an SUV, kind of putting the two together. So what I want to do is I want to find out that if you're looking for a vehicle that has a unique flavor to it, a unique style, but of course is going to have that Toyota reliability, dependability, and of course, when we talk about hybrid technology and fuel savings, is this 2023 Crown, is this the best new vehicle to buy? Or should you be taking your money somewhere else? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this Crown and find out. Right off the bat, just to let you know, there's gonna be 3 different trims available: XLE, Limited, and Platinum. The great news is Toyota brought out the big dog, the top dog. This is the Platinum trim. So right off the front end of the business, you'll notice that there's gonna be some unique style that actually touches on what Toyota already brings, and they're bringing it in a very big way. You're gonna get full LED headlights, which are going to be standard on the Platinum. You also could get them on the Limited trim. Love the way they did the headlight housing. Very angular, very sleek, but not being too over the top. Of course, you got your LED daytime running lamps. And then one thing to talk about is not too long ago, we actually did a review of a press fleet vehicle that we talked about, the 2022 Toyota Avalon. The Avalon is going away, like we discussed in that review. And now we have the Crown to kind of fill that gap. Now, as we work our way down, I love the way they worked all of the lower front fascia area. Everything is sculpted from one piece, so you don't have a bunch of stuck-on things, which is really great when you're looking for a nice cohesive design. And then the reason why I bring up the Avalon is you'll see in a split second. As we come across the front grille area, this lower portion, the way that they styled it, I saw it in the pictures for the first time. I thought Avalon at first because of how large this area is on the bottom. I'm digging the way they did this nice crisscross triangular kind of setup on the front fascia. Look at how well they hid the forward-facing camera. Very, very important, of course, when you're trying to park in a tight spot, especially if you have your brand new Crown with this fancy paint job, and we'll talk about that in a split second. But on the lower portion, they brought just a little bit of this silver aluminum finish to kind of just add that little something special to the front of the vehicle. And one of the things you'll notice is the amount of ground clearance. So with this being a vehicle that is obviously larger than a Camry, because remember, just like an Avalon, the Avalon is larger than a Camry, so is this Crown. We're getting some very unique style, but also that extra ground clearance that's going to help getting in and out of the vehicle a lot easier, plus parking it even easier. Now, when we get up onto that low slung hood, you'll notice that the lighting comes all the way across. Really love that attention to detail and the functionality at the top portion. This has a unique 2-tone paint job. This is specific to the Platinum trim. And remember, how many trims did I say? Yes, you in the back? Yes. 3 separate trims, XLE, Limited, and this is Platinum. But I love the way the 2-tone style just flows nicely into the front fascia, really allows you to have something that's gonna stand out from the crowd. Not only is the style gonna have you stand out, but this paint job is definitely bang on, spot on, perfect. Now when we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So you're gonna notice that you'll have different wheel sizes. On this Platinum trim, this is going to be your largest size. So this is a 21-inch wheel. Love the multi-spoke design, little bit of gloss black, machined aluminum on that exterior portions, but definitely allows it to blend in nicely. And I think this is a direction that Toyota has been going in, where their style is really coming up to an all-new level, moving away from blandness, but definitely bringing, like I said, the reliability, dependability, but also some great new touches to this. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this tire? These are Michelin tires, 225 on the width, and a pretty good 45 series sidewall. I'm glad that they didn't go any lower than a 45 series. That's going to help with the ride quality. And then you'll notice around the fender treatment, you do have some flat black. Let me know what you think about that, if they should have went with the gloss black or if they should have went with it all body colored. That would be a very interesting thing to look at. So I'm kind of on the fence how I feel if I'm going to zonk it right now, but I definitely want to get your input. Should this be gloss black to match the front, or would you like to see it all body colored, at least on the Platinum trim? But let's continue down the side. You'll notice as I'm standing here, the size of this vehicle, remember I'm 6 feet tall. I have not shrunk since the last time you saw one of my reviews, and I've not gotten any taller. But you could see how this vehicle sits up higher. That's going to allow people to get in and out much easier. On your Platinum trim, you got your gloss black just on the top of the mirror caps. I love the way they work these slim and trim LED turn signals into those mirrors. And then one of my favorite parts about this Crown is actually the roof line. When I first saw this vehicle, and guess what? This is not the first time I saw it. I actually got a sneak peek back at the HQ Confidential a couple months ago. I really loved the roof line, and it kind of made me feel like this was like a sporty version of an SUV. But like I said, wait until you see what we got for trunk space and overall design. This thing really is that sedan, but with something extra, something special. On the Platinum trim, we got a fixed glass panoramic roof. So that's really going to kind of tie in that whole two-tone paint. Plus, wait until we get to the interior. I'm sure it's going to make it feel much more open and airy. I also like the way they kept it nice and clean on the bottom, where you have the gloss black on the bottom of the window trim. And then on the door handles, we have some gloss black and some shiny aluminum style finish, like a chrome style finish. The good news about this is that it ties in nicely with what they did just on the top. It's only on the top of the window frame openings. And look at how it kind of slices back like a steak knife right into this rear quarter window. Now, two of the things that I think helps this vehicle stand out from the side is this trim along the bottom. Not only do we have the flat black on that sill extension, but then they added this gloss black trim just to give a little bit extra depth, a little bit extra flavor to the side of this vehicle. But I think my favorite part, styling-wise, has got to be this area right here. May seem simple, but look at what they did. Like I said, you have that trim like a steak knife right through a beefy Texas steak, slicing right into the rear quarter glass. Love the way the fender line comes up. And then Lori's going to kind of swing around, just show that the rear fender almost like flares out. Nicely set up. This is going to be available standard as a hybrid. When you go Platinum, we got Hybrid Max, and wait until you hear about some of the numbers when we pop the hood. Now, when we come around the back, we keep that two-tone style going. You may look at this and say, hey, is this a Sportback? Is this whole thing going to lift up with the rear glass? No, that's the interesting thing about this Crown, is that this actually has a trunk that's going to open up here. But the great news is the way that they styled it, the LED lighting, this is where Toyota and their sister brand Lexus really does a great job with their taillights. Nice illumination. You got your Platinum trim. Remember, like I said, this is the top trim. XLE, limited Platinum. Love the way they work the Crown badge, and even the way, like when you look at the Crown badge right above that, the gloss black with those vertical slices in the material makes it look elegant. And that's one of those things, is that this is one of those vehicles that elevates not only style, not only uniqueness, but also that luxury kind of style to it. Hybrid Max, what does that mean? We're going to get to that when we pop the hood. And then on the lower portion, very simplistic, but very clean. Look at the way they work the reverse taillights into the lower section here, the body color, and then of course on that bottom portion, super clean. Let me know if you would think that there should be some kind of exhaust or something at the back. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering this Crown. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod, but the good news is the prop rod is located super far left on the passenger side. That's going to open up all the space. And the big news is, like I mentioned, if you were paying attention, you're going to actually have two powertrain options. This one being the top trim, the top of the kingdom, king of the castle with this crown. This is the platinum trim. So what we're looking at is the hybrid max setup. It's a 2.3 liter turbocharged inline four. The great news and the new technological news is you have this rear e-axle setup. It's an electric motor that's water cooled, combined with the whole setup, motors and everything, forward and back, and the engine output. You're looking at 340 horsepower. Think about that. The Toyota Avalon never had 340 horsepower. It is mated to a 6-speed automatic, and combined MPGs, what we're getting from Toyota right now is combined 28 MPGs. Now remember, this is a pre-production unit. We will be having more details, and of course some of the finishes might be updated by the time you take delivery of your crown at your local kingdom. Now, if you're going with one of the other trims, XLE or Limited, what you're getting is the upgraded, updated Toyota hybrid system 4. This is a 2.5 liter inline 4 naturally aspirated engine. It's now going to be mated to a high output bipolar nickel metal hydride battery with the electric motors and that eCVT combined. We're looking at 38 MPG rating. So that's what we're seeing with this vehicle, is that it's a process of moving forward, bringing better efficiency, and that's why Toyota firmly believes, since the days of the early Prius, that bringing that electrification in a hybrid format can not only expand the efficiency, but like I said, 340 horsepower. But guess what? This is half of the story. Let's go ahead, let's crack the crown open and see what's inside. All right, guys, I hope you are ready for this medieval journey, because this crown is definitely bringing some futuristic touches here. So this is really showcasing where Toyota is at right now and where they're going with the technology. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I'm loving the style. I don't know of any other vehicle on the road that looks like this crown, but I'm curious, how much is it? Well, guess what? You're going to have to hold on to that thought. No official pricing yet, but expect it to be unveiled in the next few upcoming months, especially with the media drive coming. But think about Toyota Avalon, think about where that was at price point, and then kind of think about where this vehicle stands a little bit above that. And that should give you a pretty good idea. But we're in the platinum. I want to see what that means when it comes to fit, feel, and finishes in here to the door panels. So what you'll notice is nice, clean, and modern. You're going to have soft touch material throughout. I like the way they brought just a little bit of silver on the door handle. The great news to report, no gloss black. So you don't have to worry about the FBI coming after you for fingerprints everywhere. And then you'll notice on the armrest, very soft with some subtle stitching. Nothing is really too loud on the door panel, and I think that's a very, very good thing. Now, the door pocket is a little bit tight, so if you're going to drive this to the Ren Festival and get your turkey leg, probably one turkey leg and a goblet of root beer to wash it down. But other than that, I love how clean the door panel is. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, look at the touches here. That light bronze copper finish around the AC vents mimics what's on the door panel, just enough to make things interesting. And then also with the dash, very unique with the way that they kind of did a step system here to give it a lot of depth without it just being a big thing that sticks out from the windshield area. But the trim comes all the way across, and then what do we have? 12.3 inches of visual perfection. This has the all-new operating software from Toyota that we have featured on other vehicles. That is on the crown. Another thing you'll notice, you actually have a knob. So it's a full touchscreen, just like we showed you before. You could set up your profiles, all those different things. And then of course, with this being the Hybrid Max, we have the instrumentation to show that power flow. Really cool when they have the details like that to make everything come about. Now remember, this is a pre-production, so some of these things, the graphics and whatnot, might be a little bit different, but we are just thankful that Toyota has allowed us to bring this vehicle. But even that gold style finish, they brought it onto the knob there as well. So that's really going to allow you to have such a unique feel in this vehicle that separates it from any other Toyota vehicle that I could think of recent memory. The great news is when you go platinum, what do we have? We have ventilated seats, 3 stages, and 3 stages of heated seats. So they got you covered there. You have your dual climate control, easy to use, well laid out. And that's another thing that with Toyota is that it's very, very well laid out where everything is. Now, when we come to the center console, one thing you'll notice is how high it is. I actually like that because it makes you feel like you're in your own little environment here and your passenger is in their own little environment. Gives it almost like a little bit extra sporty feel. So this really is taking a lot of different design philosophies in the auto industry and kind of melding it all together. Now, when we look at what do we have here, I do like the flat black. You got USB-Cs, and then check out how you have your wireless charging. You're literally just gonna drop your phone right in there. You got your forward-facing camera, which is great. There's your 360. Look at that, really cool at the design studio. Love the way they have those graphics. And that's one of those things that from a security standpoint, to be able to do a 360 view around the vehicle, especially at night, will help your loved ones feel a little safer. Now, when it comes to the electric shifter that we have mounted here, you'll notice that they took that light gold tinge. I like the way they brought that throughout the vehicle. No gloss black. So thank the heavens, no gloss black, a little bit more of that gold. 2 cup holders. You got your Toyota key fob. Remember, this is pre-production, so this could look different when you get it at your local dealer. And then one of my favorite parts is not only is the armrest soft, but guess what? It's one of those armrests where I could open it up for me, or you could open it up for you. And what do we have in here? We have plenty of room, a USB-A, a 12 volt, and you know what? You could probably put, I would say, 5 He-Man figurines there. So if you're holding on to your He-Man figurines, He-Mans, and the Masters of the Universe, you could probably put about 5, and guess what? There's felt lining in there, so they're not gonna get damaged, so that you could sell them on eBay one day and retire off of your He-Man figurines. Seats, this is one of the biggest surprises, and what I mean by surprise, they look good. Love the soft material. You have your piping all the way down. Now, when it comes to the different trims, obviously, you're gonna have different materials, but this one has that nice leather setup. You got your power assist. I like the amount of bolstering. It's just enough bolstering to make things interesting, but it's not too obnoxious where it's gonna squeeze you like a vice grip. And then because we are in the platinum, there's that beautiful panoramic roof, nice glass. I'm 6 feet tall, and you can see behind the wheel, I got the seat up a little high. I could actually move it back a little bit, but plenty of space in here and very well laid out. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this crown. All right, guys, business end, this is the throne. You are the king of this rolling castle with the crown. This is where you're gonna be sitting. You got 2 memory seat settings, and then you'll notice they put a nice, tasteful crown sill plate. I like the way they did that touch right there. Simple, but to the point. We got our full electric assist, so you could get your throne exactly perfected the way that you want it to have. And like I said, with that low, sexy, sloping roofline, you still got plenty of room in here. Plus, the Platinum has the optional JBL sound system, 11 speakers. Think about how you could rock out in here while you're listening to AC/DC driving down the road. Now, the steering wheel, it's got some new unique touches. First of all, you got leather all the way around, really nice. I love the way they brought that little gold finish. I think one thing I would want to add here that I'm gonna zonk is I wish there was some gold stitching, that light gold around the inside of the steering wheel, just to give it a little extra something something. But the great news is flat black on the buttons. You'll notice that you have the large paddles on the back of the steering wheel. It is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then I hope you're ready for another 12 inches, because guess what? There's that digital display. Nice, large, clear graphics. I love the way it's got the power gauge, your charge gauge. Let me get these warnings out of the way. Remember, this is pre-production, but wonderful to see those different setups there. And then, of course, you could go to your different modes. Eco, comfort, normal. Look at the graphics. It's like Gran Turismo, Sport, Sport Plus, and you could go full custom. So you could customize perfectly exactly how you want your crown. We're gonna leave it in Sport Plus. That's how we're gonna do our on throttle. But definitely nice to see them do the work in the graphics and all of the touches to really personalize each of the driving habits of this vehicle. But you know what? You would be selfish if you were only worried about you. And I know that you're not selfish. Let's get to the back seat and see how your passengers are going to enjoy rolling down the road in your Crown. All right, guys, back seat time. And this is where you're going to be given a pleasant surprise, especially if you have ridden in the back seat of a Camry or an Avalon. There's a ton of room back here. And what they did, which was very smart, is that they carved the headliner out like a jack-o'-lantern to give you a little bit more headroom back here, but the seats are comfy and my legs don't feel so squished. And guess what? I didn't even move the driver's seat from where I last was sitting in it. On top of that, you do get heated seats for the rear seat passengers. So where that button will be hidden is nicely placed on the door handle there to let you heat up and get a little warm when things are chilly. On the backs of the seats, you have that great material, nice large pocket. So you could easily put, I would say, 3 daggers, maybe a Morning Star, maybe a small sword. So when you're going out to your role-playing games and you're pretending to be maybe like a king or a barbarian while you're out there doing your YARP and all that, you'll be able to keep those tools of the game in the back area of your Crown. Now, the rear seat, the great news is you got a nice little command center with your rear AC vents and 2 USB-Cs. So they're gonna make sure everybody's gonna stay connected while you're driving to your next destination. I got a nice large pocket over here so I could have all my weapons while we're going to our YARP excitement in the woods and just pretending to be a bunch of different things that you see in medieval books and Robin Hood movies. But seats feel good, lots of space. Nice, look at this, Charmin Soft. So they actually, this is about 4 rolls of Charmin softness on this armrest. Lift this guy up, you got your 2 cup holders, which are nice. I just can't believe how soft that armrest is. Nice touch, but you know what? I told you this is not an SUV. This is something unique. Let's go ahead, let's pop the trunk and see how much room we have in this Toyota Crown. All right, guys, as you can see, we have the trunk open. Like I said, this is not a Sportback, it's not a hatchback, it has a trunk. Now you may be saying to yourself, well, Joe, does that mean there's not a lot of space? Well, guess what? We're gonna show you, but before I do, I just wanna point out 2 things. That first of all, they hid the button so well to release the trunk, you're not even gonna know it's there until somebody shows you. So that was really smart of them to clean up the back. And then another thing I really like that you don't see on a lot of vehicles is that the reverse camera actually has a washer. And think about it, that makes sense because as you're driving down the road, especially when it's rainy or snowy or muddy or whatever, all that stuff kind of gets sucked back up behind the tail end of the vehicle. But now that we have the trunk open, let's take a little bit of a gander. Now, before you get excited about all this LED lighting, you do have illumination, but we had the great crew here, the support staff from Toyota, bring some extra lighting just so we could showcase how massive this trunk is. So you'll notice that very nice low loading area. I love the way the cargo floor is even lower inside. That's gonna stop things from rolling out of the back of the trunk, especially when you go to the grocery store and you're parked on a hill and then you open up the trunk and then there goes your watermelon down the street you're chasing after. You don't have to worry about that. So we have a nice wide opening, low cargo floor. Of course, we got the perfect nook over here. And you know how perfect it is on the Crown for 2 full boxes of Twinkies? Plus you got the 60-40 split Tango. Those rear seats will fold down. You need to go to Costco. You need to get that big old box of hot dogs and sauerkraut. You have that expendability. Plus, on top of that, they make it real simple because you have your pull handles, 1, 2, 3. You're just gonna pull those and fold the seats down. And what I really am happy to see, especially in a day and age where lots of manufacturers are getting rid of these, check it out. I'm gonna lift up the cargo floor. You do have a spare. So that's another nice thing. It's just one of those things that it's insurance. It's not for if it's definitely gonna happen that you're gonna need a spare, but when you need a spare tire, it's nice to have one instead of one of those inflator kits. But why don't we go ahead? They're telling me my time is up. They're about to get a hook and drag me out of this place. So let's wrap it up. We will be doing the full driving review in the upcoming months. So stay tuned for that, but let's wrap it up here in Austin. All right, guys, it's been a crazy, crazy kind of day in this underground studio with this all new vehicle, the Toyota Crown. I definitely got to thank everybody over at Toyota for inviting us for this special unveil. What does that mean to you? You got to be here with us, with the car, in the flesh. Let me know what you think. when you're looking at new vehicles that are coming out, has Toyota struck gold with this crown, with bringing something that's not only unique, brings that extra sense of style and luxury, but also bringing some efficiency numbers. And like I said, this particular Platinum, 340 horsepower, put your response down in that comment section. I'm very curious to find out what you have to say, and I'm sure Toyota is as well. But until we meet another day in another underground layer, if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. We definitely got to thank the queen of the camera, working around this crown, getting all the angles. Show Lori some love in that comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.